Ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'd like to call our work session for this evening to order. We'll start off by recognizing members of administration that are present.
Mayor Jamie Slutes. Here. Chief Deputy Auditor Stephanie Myers.
Here.
Chief Counsel Earl Wise Jr.
Here.
City Engineer Alex Pitts.
Here.
Director of Development Ted Hernking.
Here.
And Income Tax Budget Director Lori Katagides-Boron.
Here.
Is there anyone here from administration I missed? That's it, President Pro Tem.
Thank you, Diane. Let the record show all members of council are present, as well as Council President Slater this evening. Before we get started in the committee business, I just want to say congratulations to all the candidates who won their elections this election cycle. Looking forward to working with everybody again. And also, before I forget, I want to shout out to the Massillon Tigers on a big win on Friday night against North Canton Hoover. They have, next up is Columbus DeSales on Friday at Columbus, so we're going to hope for a big game from the Tigers on Friday night and bring home another victory. With that, let's start off with community development with Councilwoman Creamer.
Thank you, Mr. Gregg. I have 4 items that fall under old business. The first is the request for the easement for traffic signal poles and adjoining equipment located on the south side of Lincoln Way East between 24th and 25th Street Southeast, the Starbucks property outlot 1249. Any questions regarding this? I would like to move this forward at Monday's meeting, if no one has any questions. The next 3 were tabled until next week. 2 were rezoning requests. We are going to have a public hearing on November 17th at 6 p.m. The first is for 242 Lincoln Way West. It's a new Sheetz gas station and convenience store. The second one is 21 South Avenue Southeast. It's Joe Logan, Connect USA, to convert the former commercial property to a 2-dwelling rental unit. Any questions regarding those items? The last item that was tabled is the language for the amended language for ordinance number 88-2024. I believe everybody received a copy regarding that language. Did anyone not receive a copy for that language that states the under section 2, it should have be in red font. The instrument, this was the addition to this ordinance. The instrument transferring the property from the city to the CIC shall contain a restrictive covenant restricting the use of said property for nonprofit uses. Said restricted covenant shall contain a reversionary interest held by the city of Massillon in the event property is used for any purpose other than a nonprofit purpose. The city's interest in this restricted covenant may be bought out for a parcel's value as assessed by the Stark County Auditor for the years 2021, 2022, and 2023 for $24,100. So this was the language that we've been discussing over previous meetings to be added to this. So everybody feels good about this project moving forward. Any questions from anyone regarding this language that has been added? Ms. Reinhuth.
Thank you, Mrs. Creamer. Is the LBG properties, are they aware of this language and are they in agreement of it?
I cannot answer that. I know we've been discussing that at the meetings and the work sessions, and I believe
I can maybe.
Administration wants to come up and speak if they talk to anybody regarding this, but I believe Mr. Gully has been here multiple occasions, and this was like the discussion that I believe he heard on multiple occasions.
Mr. Pacole and I, we did discuss this with them after last week's meeting as well, I believe, outside after the meeting. Is that right, Mr. Pacole?
Sorry, what was that?
Didn't we discuss this with
We
them
did.
outside, Mr. Gawley? And
And his concern at that time was, when we meet next week, if it's passed, he wasn't sure if it would take 3 readings and how long would it take. And then his response, not to go down the rabbit hole too much, was, we offered to buy it 8 months ago, and we were offered it for free, so we went down this process. So here's this process, and he seemed very fine with the process as long as it was going to hurry up next week if we were to pass it.
Mr. Hernkane, anything to add to that?
No, that is correct. I spoke with him a couple times last week. He's fine with the amendment, but does reiterate if you could bring it forward on Monday, that would help with the timeline.
That's my intent.
All right, thank you.
Any additional questions? Mr. Hernkane's up here? Seeing none? That's end of community development. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, economic development, excuse me, Councilman Ray.
Thank you, President Gregg. I have no new business today. Thank you.
Okay. Health, welfare, and building regulations, Councilwoman Cunningham.
Thank you, Mr. President. In front of me, I have, and you have this copy as well, authorizing the clerk of council to certify the attached list of unpaid and delinquent nuisance abatement services to the Stark County Auditor to be entered upon the tax duplicate to be a lien upon such land from the date of entry to be collected as other taxes and assessments. Authorizing the clerk of council to delete any property owners' names or adjust the dollar amounts owed, if applicable, prior to certification to the county auditor, provided that the Director of Development provides documentation to do so. And number 3, authorizing the clerk of council to correct any typographical errors. Now, you'll notice on your second sheet, the names, the addresses of the properties that have been nuisances abatement. Does anybody have any questions on this, or do you wish to have the administration come forward? Mrs. Hardwick-Smith?
I have a question. I don't know if it may have been asked last time they brought this forward, because, I mean, it's a continuing thing all the time. When you see, like, one property owner, and they have 3 parcels at the same address, so, and then the dates for the fee date is also the same 3 dates. So if someone has a property in one address, but there's actually several parcels on it, we're basically charging them triple for the fines?
That I can't answer.
I mean, that's,
Is there somebody from administration that can come up and answer that question, please? Oh, sorry.
I figure I'd stay up here. Specifically, which,
so
what are you
I'll
looking
give
at?
you, like, look at, go down to Bruce. There's 3, Bruce Avenue. And they're all the same date, and they're all for grass and weed mowing, and it's $205 for each fine. And they have 3 parcels listed, so they're probably like all right beside each other. So because they didn't mow their property and it was in 3 parcels, they're getting 3 fines for each parcel. That's how we're doing this.
3 different parcels, 3 different cuts, 3 different charges, yes. Because if you look, the parcel numbers are different.
Right.
So there's 3 vacant parcels, well, they may be vacant, I don't know. But there were 3 mows that they had to do in that area by the same owner, and we assess each parcel separately because it's technically a separate cut.
Councilwoman Holly Bryant Huth?
Thank you, Mrs. Cunningham. And it's a charge for a service done, so they're charged for the mow. So it's not just the fine for not having mowed. It's that someone had to go and mow, and so they're being charged for each of those properties to be mowed.
It's a cut, charge, and an administrative fee, not a fine.
So property owners should know they have more than one, it's one address. If it's one address and more than one parcel, and they're being written up, they're gonna be written up for how many parcels are on the address.
Correct.
Bummer, okay.
Councilman Eric Ray?
Thank you. I live right across the street from these parcels. I look at them all the time, and the grass does get ridiculous. They are big fields, though. They're not just little small spaces. And one is a full corner. Actually, I think the city is set up there to use for construction on Erie right now. And now I believe that one will be tended to on more of a regular basis because I think it's owned by Ben Gully because he owns it with the rest of that property with the appliance store. But So yes, to answer your question, I mean, it is actually three big properties, and the grass gets outrageous. Wildlife runs through it, so actually it's commendable that the city comes and cuts it. And I don't think that they follow up with the property itself, the owners itself. I can't contact them because we were thinking about finding out what was going on with the property, and there's been no contact, so just so you know.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have, Mr. Gregg.
Thank you, Councilwoman Cunningham. I'll point out, Diane, bullet number 2 on this legislation, the first word authoring, I think that should be authorizing.
Okay,
What's that?
got it.
Yeah. No, I'm going to ask her. Okay, so get that taken care of. Councilwoman Hein.
Excuse me, yeah, I do have another one. Last week, we discussed quite a bit about the homelessness and the camping. Does anybody wish to continue the conversation? Any questions?
I do,
Councilman Packley?
thank you, Mrs. Cunningham. And again, I thought about it, not just because of the speeches that were done or the discussions, but, and I know I brought it up the first time with regards to Duncan Plaza. I just don't, I wish it were worded in a way that it's not just closed at dusk, that you can't be in Duncan Plaza after dark. I know that's not the intent, but if someone were to walk through the park at nighttime, they would be in violation of this ordinance, where maybe it should be, it's closed, or no loitering, or some other
Definition?
added that it's not just someone can get a ticket for walking across the park at night, because I'm sure in the summertime or when we leave here, some people do walk across the park at nighttime. So,
I believe the mayor is coming up to discuss this.
and I know I get into the weeds a little bit, but
Good evening, council. Just to address your comment about Duncan Plaza, this has nothing to do with walking through Duncan Plaza, like I explained to you last week. You could walk through Duncan Plaza. Anybody's more than welcome to walk through Duncan Plaza. We just do not want people camping or sleeping in Duncan Plaza. That's what this is about.
so it's.
You walking through Duncan Plaza has nothing to
Okay,
do with
but-
camping.
No, I don't mean to get, so if a homeless person is in Duncan Plaza at 9 o'clock at night, they couldn't get it, as long as they're not camping?
Every park in the city of Massillon closes at dusk.
Okay. But granted, the Sippo Park or the Reservoir Park, those are a little bit different. You're driving or you're going into Duncan Plaza, there's a lot of travel through the park, through Duncan Plaza on a weeknight, weekend night. So I just, if there was just a little, because it's not, it doesn't say just camping, it just says that it's going to be closed at dusk.
Every park in the city of Massillon closes at dusk.
So, all right,
Councilman Lewis?
I think maybe the better question here is, Mayor, in your experience, can you maybe give us a brief summary of what we would call officer discretion, if you understand where I'm getting to?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Yeah.
So if somebody were to call the police about somebody sitting in Duncan Plaza, the police, I would guarantee you, they would not arrest somebody for sitting there after dark. They would move them along and give them the opportunity to leave before they were arrested.
That would be at any park or really any minor charge that someone may be able to be issued, but an officer can use discretion and not do so.
Yes, that is a perfect example of officer discretion.
Councilman Ray?
Thank you, Mrs. Cunningham. So I think what Councilman Packley is leading to is that if the person is technically a homeless person and they happen to be just sitting in the park, would it be seen or viewed in any kind of way, like as if they were squatting? From the way the verbiage is. He's saying that, from the verbiage itself, is saying that a violation could happen because it's worded that way. So if just not saying that our officers is any kind of way in this way, but if they had the right, they have the right to fine because you walk through, or you're sitting in the park. Does that make sense?
Anybody walking through Duncan Plaza, they're more than welcome to walk through Duncan Plaza. We could sit out there or look out the windows.
Just
We
the
could
people-
stay here all night and look out the windows, and we'd see people walking through Duncan Plaza. Whether they're residents, visitors, or homeless people, people walk through Duncan Plaza on a regular basis. Not one time in my career of 22 years at the police department has somebody been arrested for walking through Duncan Plaza.
Thank you.
Nor have they been arrested for sitting in Duncan Plaza.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mrs. Kramer?
I just have a question regarding section 542, period 99, mitigation and penalties C. So it states that it is a minor misdemeanor and punishable by a fine of not more than $50. So if these individuals are homeless, they may not have the funds, or they may have limited funds. How is this fine going to be paid if they are charged with this misdemeanor? You know, I just feel like we're going to be in this, cycle system, and then okay, so is there like other options
service.
instead of like having them pay a penalty, like maybe, like kind of push them in a path to get assistance instead of paying the fine?
Our goal is to help the people.
Correct.
We do not want to penalize, fine, or imprison any person that haven't fallen on hard times. We want to help them. People come to my office on a regular basis that need assistance, and I put them in the right direction of who to contact, whether it be the Salvation Army, ICANN Housing, or any other organization that can assist these people that need help. We don't want to fine them. I think Assistant Prosecutor Earl Wise wants to come up to address that, but, the bottom line is, we don't want to put people in jail. We
Right.
want to help people. So if they comply, or they go seek assistance, then, there's no fines. The fines are, and Mr. Wise, I'll let you address this part.
Good evening. Any criminal offense on which there's a fine or a potential sentence, that has to be the situation for any criminal offense. If you're going to have a fine, it has to apply to everyone. It has to apply to the language. Now, every time there is someone in court, how many people come to court who are indigent? Many. In fact, in some days, that's the vast majority. That is a question for the court, and the court can waive those fines. The court can impose part of that fine. The court can give them community service in lieu of the fine. That's an enforcement mechanism which, in my opinion, has to be in the language. But once if someone is ever charged with this and/or then ever convicted of it, the court has vast discretion as to what to do with those fines. The most common is not on a minor misdemeanor, they wouldn't have a public defender, but they would have some type of payment plan. If they had no money whatsoever, then they could do community service, or the judge could simply waive the fines. So that's a mechanism that has to be in there, and then it's up to the court as to how that gets paid or waived.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Councilman Markham?
And on that, the Ohio Revised Code has mechanisms in place where any fines or court costs can be worked off through community service, which kind of brings me to another point. If we're concerned about the minor misdemeanor, we're concerned about the fine, we could, over the next few weeks, look at potentially crafting this as an unclassified misdemeanor, potentially with a community service provision, maybe say 200 to 300 hours of community service, where that community service could be worked off with proof of employment, so you're going to work and you're supporting yourself, or or participation in workforce development programs. I think what folks don't necessarily understand about this ordinance, not everybody at this table, but out in the community, is it really does appear to be that this is an ordinance to connect the homeless with community resources. It's not to penalize or criminalize homelessness, it's to try to give us a excuse to go to folks who wouldn't otherwise come to us for help. I don't see how anybody's going to jail unless they're committing another crime. I mean, I was a prosecutor, the joke was always do one crime at a time. So if there's another crime that's uncovered in the process, the police will have to deal with that however they see fit. But I'm assuming in most cases here, we have a minor misdemeanor, or if we go another route, an unclassified misdemeanor, where we'll have a little more enforcement as far as community service, and you can work off of community service potentially by participating in workforce development or even working. Just a thought.
Councilman Holly Brian Huth.
Thank you, Mrs. Cunningham. I know that we were informed that this came from a version that Canton had recently adapted. Do we know where their adaptation came from and if it was effective?
I don't know. I wasn't involved too much in putting this particular aspect in place. I can find that out for you, but I don't know. Theirs, I believe, is very new as well. So where it came from, I don't know, but I'll find out. Absolutely.
Excuse me. Mrs. Smith?
I kind of think the language in 54299C where it says, in the court's discretion, alternate penalties other than term of imprisonment intended to address the reason the individual is in violation of this chapter may be imposed. So I kind of like leaving it the way it is because the court knows what programs they have. A lot of times they already know these people, the repeat offenders. Maybe it's the first time. And they very much, for a lot of these homeless people, and it's drugs and stuff, and they're not willing to come in on their own, and they'll keep doing drugs and be depressed and need mental health until someone forces them to go. And you can't force someone to go, but sometimes when they get these violations, or, you know, someone gets pulled over in a traffic, then that arises another problem. Then the court actually, you know, forces them to get in a drug rehab program or something to apply. So I like leaving that to the court's discretion because they're the one maintaining it, this, that. And I really don't think it's, I really don't see them finding it much. I mean, if you tell someone to leave, they're gonna leave. But the whole purpose, I mean, I was kind of offended, everyone saying how this was so cruel and so horrible. What's more cruel, like seeing people laying there on your streets and nobody helping them? At least this way we can address them and get them help. And you do have, you know, and a lot of people want that help, but they don't know how to get signed up for Medicaid. They don't know how to get signed up for CareSource insurance, all these things that they would be eligible for. They don't know how to get into the housing. So this is really, I think, very responsible of the city, and it addresses things, and it protects us, and it protects, you know, the residents. You know, I don't want to be walking by, you know, and, you know, downtown and people are sleeping, you know, if you have people sleeping in the bushes and defecating in the doorways of our businesses, that's going to keep people from going downtown. It's going to hurt the businesses. But even like when we're talking about like Lincoln Theater, those aren't city properties. Those are, or churches, those are private properties. So people need to call and say no, put no trespassing. For private properties, when you have people camping and homeless, they need to contact the police on their own. We're just strictly talking about city properties. And the Dusk to Dawn has been in the parks forever, and it's about safety, about people going there. I mean, I can remember even, you know, there was rapes in the park, and I mean, and that's a good thing. And I have no interest in us being responsible for homeless shelters. I mean, I think that's out of our purview and out of our budget. But we support, you know, those kind of organizations, and we can connect people to those organizations to help them and help solve the problem. So I think this is a very good thing to help people, not hurt people.
If I may just, and if I misspoke, this is a minor misdemeanor, so there is no possibility of jail time with regard to this ordinance. If I misspoke earlier, I just wanted to correct that.
I'm going to go ahead here for a second, guys. There's a person that has really been all over social media. And I don't like to respond to those because it just gets you into trouble, but I couldn't hold my tongue, unfortunately. And this person that was railing on us about how inhumane we are and how we're going to criminalize these people, I said to her, you obviously did not listen to our last council meeting when I specifically said we do not want to criminalize these people. We want to help these people. And like you reiterated, Mrs. Smith, they don't know where to reach out for help. They're ashamed to reach out for help. And they live in this circuit that they help each other or don't help each other exactly. But again, this is to help, to show them the resources that are available, that we want to try to help these people. Councilman Ray.
Thank you. I think I know of the comment that you were speaking of, but also I think that we have to also look at the people that we are trying to help. A lot of the people don't have identification. That's mainly the first thing that stops them or prevents them from getting any kind of help, a lot of help, which that's been a major issue. But I think if it's important that we have a conversation with the people we're trying to help, and then maybe we can get a better understanding as to what does help. I've talked to a lot of people who's actually been homeless and have overcome the homeless state, and they're saying, well, these situations happen. Shelters are bad. A lot of them are they're trying to help, but there's bad people in shelters, and we know that people with power can, dominate smaller people. Kids taking their kids into shelters is really unsafe environment. So to them, being in wide open spaces, being in a wide open space, at least they're not locked in a room, that something can happen to them that they didn't want to happen to them. I think it takes a lot more conversation for us to get a better understanding as to what can actually help them. But this is, this law itself is common sense. I mean, you can't sleep in public property. You can't go to sleep downtown. The community service aspect, I think, is very important as well, due to the fact that we are spending hours cleaning up messes. So community service will say, hey, you can go out and clean up some mess that was made, during squatting sessions, whatever the case may be. But I think also it takes a little bit more of a deep dive for us to get a better understanding is by listening to those people who we are saying we're trying to help. Thanks.
Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Councilman Cunningham. First, I want to agree with Councilman Harvey Smith regarding the leaving it as it is, the enforcement part, excuse me, to the courts. I think that's the right move on that. They've got much more experience and so forth, and more latitude. The other comment I wanted to make is regarding the fact that, no, we don't want to criminalize homelessness, and this doesn't do that. What this does is criminalize sleeping or camping on public property. That's the criminal act, not being homeless. If you may not be homeless, but someone that's not homeless is not allowed to sleep on public property either. Right. So that's the key, is give us a mechanism that prevents that, because the taxpayers of Massillon, Ohio are the ones paying for that property, and they should have the use of that property. And if someone else is camping there, living there, whether they're homeless or not, they're not going to be able to use that property, and that's not fair. So I think, a part of our, what we need to do is make sure we keep the taxpayers in mind as well regarding this. But again, my point is that, and the other point is that just sleeping is not the issue. Camping, living, trying to live in a particular part is the issue. If someone's asleep on a park bench, as Mayor Slutz has already said, police would just ask them to move along, and that would probably be the end of that. But what we're trying, and this ordinance wouldn't even be involved, but this ordinance gives us a mechanism to help those that are there trying to, establish a residence on our property, on city property, that, for the most part, they're not paying taxes to afford. The people in the city are paying the taxes, and they should be the ones that have the availability of that property.
I'd like to address the point you made about people sleeping on the benches. When I see people sleeping on the benches over the last 2 years, I go out and I make contact with them. I ask them how they're doing, what I can do to help them, when the last time they have eaten. I take them to get something to eat. Whether it's downtown, one of the downtown restaurants we walk to, I walk with them. If they ask me for money for cigarettes, I give them money for cigarettes. And I explain to them, we need to get you some help, some housing, into some organizations that can help you with some of your problems. So I've done that quite often over the last 2 years, and I'll continue to do that. I mean, that's why we're here. That's why we all took an oath. We took an oath to uphold the laws and to help people. And I'll continue to do that.
Councilman Kramer?
So we had multiple individuals last week come to the microphone that were homeless, now previously friends of homeless. So we had an opportunity to, connect with them. I mean, I'm just asking, they heard about ICANN, they heard about the Salvation. Did anybody, ask for assistance that Monday night?
Nobody did.
See, and that's kind of where I'm getting at. That's my fear. We want to help them. But the need, where to get that help. And the more we talk about it, the more we, communicate, ICANN, Salvation Army, whatever, trying to reach those individuals is going to be the difficult task. But I think the more we're open and we speak, hopefully it'll fall on ears. They'll hear us and they'll get that assistance that they need.
Mrs. Cunningham called me last week. She says, I know somebody that's homeless. They need help. So I told her to get in contact with the Salvation Army. At that point, Salvation Army put them up in housing for 3, 4, 5 days. She called me back 3, 4, 5 days later and says, okay, the housing's done. Where can they go next? I put her in contact with the Stark Housing Network to reach out to them. And she may be able do you have, what
I
happened?
haven't gotten a report, so he must be okay right now.
So we put people in contact. Some people want the help and some people do not. What she referenced earlier, Ms. Cunningham referenced earlier, that individual who I think you're talking about is a Jackson Township resident. But we don't turn people away, whether they live in Canton, Jackson Township, wherever they live. If they call my office, we want to help them. We want to line them up with organizations that can help them and put them and connect them with other organizations that can help them. So some people take the help. Some people don't want it. Some people do not want it. Like I said, in February, I went down to the encampment down on Walnut and State Route 21 along the river. A handful of people wanted to help, and they accepted the help. However, there were 2 people that did not want the help. Originally I gave them 4 weeks, and then I gave them up to 6 weeks that they had to move on. And I quote them as saying, this is how we want to live. And some people choose to live that lifestyle. But even those people, I know some of the detectives and police officers at the police department here, they still go out and contact them. Hey, can we help you now? What can we do for you now? So it's a continuous thing. It's not a one-time thing where we go out, okay, you don't want our help, okay, we're done with you. It's a continuous thing. We go out again, and at least throughout my career, I would run into these people on a regular basis. Hey, how you doing? What can we do to help you? And quite honestly, some of them don't want the help.
Anybody else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay. Next, Parks and Recreation, Councilwoman Harwick Smith.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. I have nothing for Parks and Recreation this evening.
All right. Police and Fire, Councilman Markham.
One piece of business here tonight, and it's a request to prepare an ordinance to accept a donation from Tractor Supply Company Foundation in the amount of $250. Anybody have questions? Pretty straightforward. Oh,
I believe this is this occurs regularly. This is not the first time they made that donation. Is that correct?
I don't know offhand, but I have a feeling it's probably a regular
I
occurrence.
think we've received it before. Okay.
Nothing further.
Is that it? Thank you. Public Utilities and Environmental, Councilwoman Brian Huth.
Thank you. President Pro Tem, I have nothing this evening.
Okay. Public Utilities and, I just said that. Rules, Courts, and Civil Service, that's my committee. I have nothing this evening. Streets and Highways, Traffic and Safety, Councilman Packley.
Nothing new to add. I add Mr. Lewis, but he had a map given to us all that shows what streets have been paved since 2017 till now. Were you going to speak about this later? Oh, sorry, I want to steal your thunder. I'll let Ed speak with that later. So, but nothing new. Thanks.
All right, thank you. And that brings us to Councilman Lewis with Finance.
Yes, and the first thing I'll get out of the way, since we got a hefty bit here tonight, is what we call the budget, so we can have those conversations real quick. We were going to have the law department here this evening, but unfortunately, Mr. Richard was unable to attend last minute. We do have, I believe, either police or fire scheduled. Both are scheduled for 2 weeks from now. Just, it's our habit to try to get the streets in front of us, police and fire in front of us, and the law department in front of us, just to give us a little bit of a summary of all the great things they have done, and if there's anything else that they feel like that we need to know. With that said, this council's had about a week or so to review this budget, so we do have Ms. Katagese-Boer on here if anybody has some initial questions that they'd like to have discussion about tonight. Otherwise, it'll be another 2 weeks before we start anything. Yes.
So they're getting a 3% raise. They're asking us to give them a 3% raise across the board. I was wondering if there's any department or any person in any department that got more than a 3% raise or type of wage adjustment. That didn't stand out.
You want to speak to that? And I'm assuming you mean this is for non-bargaining units, because obviously the
Right.
bargaining units have totally different
Right.
parameters.
Good evening, council. As far as I know, the 3% was blanketed across the city. When I sat with each department, that they did ask that question, and I did communicate that was being written into the budget, 3%. There are some departments that do report to different elected officials, so that is something we'd have to research down the road, but yes, my conversation was 3% if you were non-bargaining.
And then we
Did
We
you-
also have legislation request tonight that would also say only 3% for non-bargaining.
Did we hear back on the healthcare?
We have not heard back yet. I do believe that they have a meeting on Thursday. I do know they went out to, they did go out to shop, so the Healthcare Committee does have a meeting this coming Thursday, so I no longer sit on that committee, so I won't know until after that happens, but that's something that I can communicate to you next week at the council meeting.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Ray?
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Did we get the comparison packet yet, or did you email it out?
Yes, I did.
My email does not work. It has not worked forever. So
Okay.
I'll see if I can
I
get.
can forward it to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions?
It's further down in the budget. I don't know if I should wait, but when we were looking at the transfer and the totals, like, and moving things over to balance other budgets. So one of them was, and one of these was like the sidewalk fund, program we had, we're balancing money from, taking that money from there. So when there are programs like that, and we take those monies and use it, you know, to pay dental, whatever, they're using it to balance the budget, what happens next year? And
Yeah.
with those programs, if we just wiped out the sidewalk program because they didn't use it for this year, I mean, are we automatically budgeting more money into that? Or are we, that account's now just not gonna have money in it?
So you're saying in the transfers here,
In the transfers, as we
emptying
know, there was
out,
the one, yeah, the one,
they're emptying out the sidewalk fund to pay for something else.
yeah.
So you're zeroing that out, is that what's happening?
Yes,
Or is that-
yeah, that's a program that ends at the end of April, so if all the funds aren't expended by that time, there is some available as well. We ask that to be appropriated at that time, and that program runs through, I believe, the end of April, and if there's anything left in that program, we have transferred that in the past, but there's still money written into the sidewalk program. Well, it's not written into, we usually come to you at the beginning of the year and ask for that money to be appropriated.
So I guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, where public finance is different than private finance, say because the sidewalk is out of the 1100 still?
Yes.
So we might have a sidewalk program that we put $200,000 into, right? And by the end of April, we only use $150,000, so there's $50,000. That doesn't mean that come December 31st, we can just have $50,000 to start the new year off. That means we have $50,000 in a large pool in the general fund, and we don't necessarily pull it because then the auditor is going to certify our number. So just because you end the year with money in a fund, it doesn't necessarily mean that money is automatically available for that same thing in the following year, because you have to remain within the auditor's certification regardless of how much your carryover is. And that's why we always have a carryover, and we're saying, oh, we got this $5 million carryover. Well, that's the $50,000 from the sidewalk fund, that's the $20,000, you know, that just didn't get spent. So it's not a direct, we're in private finance, they just, new fiscal year, and they just push it over. Does that make sense? Am I wrong?
No, you're not.
I learned one thing in 14 years.
I've worked with them both, so that is correct.
Any other, but great question nonetheless.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, so we will have police and fire, and I believe the law department in 2 weeks. And then we can discuss who else from there. Thank you so much. All right, the next one we have here is, this is my new stuff. Please prepare legislation to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the general fund, $43,550 to SD revenue sharing. This is to pay the school district revenue sharing. Are there any questions about this? The next one I have here is please prepare an ordinance to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the general fund, $258,348.85. This is the appropriate, this amount appropriate is to award the Reservoir Park Stream Bank Restoration Project. The monies appropriated will be replenished with the reimbursement state grant dollars. Are there any questions regarding this? I know we've discussed this a couple of times. Okay. Next one, please prepare legislation to appropriate from the unappropriated balance of the general fund, $250 supplies and materials, and this is to provide additional funding for operational needs of the police department. Is this like a zeroing out, essentially? So it's essentially like a zeroing out that we have in our transfers that normally doesn't require legislation, but because it's a changing of accounts, it requires it.
No, that's the $250. They just took in the donation from Travis.
Oh, that's the donation from the thing. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the donation. Thank you, Diane.
You're welcome.
So the purpose then is to provide operational needs of the police department based off the grant that was received. Okay. All right. Legislation to make certain transfers within the appropriations from the general fund for the year ending 12/31. We're going to take $21,700 from hospital, eye, and dental, and that will go into other hospital. Do you want to explain this? It's to pay health insurance costs? Well, this one I think is coming from the auditor. So it's going from the 115 and going into the 125 and the 135. What are those accounts, I guess?
115 is the law department, 125 is muni court, 135 is the bailiffs of the court. So I know within the two that it's going into, there were plan changes within employees in those department, and then the law department must have had it the other way where somebody went to a cheaper plan, so there was just money left over in that.
And again, this
department.
is kind of what I was referencing the last time. If it would have all been in 115, it would have been a transfer, but because we're going from 115 to
Correct.
125, we have to do a
A
legislative.
legislative transfer if it's in the same fund but different department.
Yep. Any questions about that? Okay. Thank you. The next one we have here is please prepare an ordinance providing for the continuation of existing 0.2% of 1% levy on income to be effective January 1, 27, for 5 years for the purpose of city street maintenance and repair and city street department, subject to the approval of the electors of the city of Massillon, Ohio, and election to be conducted at the primary election. There's a couple of steps I believe that'll have to happen here. One, this is going to be our first us saying, yes, you can go on the ballot. I'm assuming at some point we're also going to have to agree to the ballot language. Is that correct? And that'll come later after this. This is a continuation of the levy that's currently in place, hence the resurfacing map that was given to you. It is to demonstrate that all the resurfacing, I don't mean to steal your thunder, Mr. Herrington, but I believe it's to demonstrate all the resurfacing that has been done since the first enactment of this levy within the city. You can see a large majority of the city has been covered or touched. When Mr. Herrington is here, I believe he's the representative that can speak to this if anybody has any questions. Mr. Markham?
I just don't know why we would have to vote on this twice, I guess, is what I'm thinking of. Because normally what I've seen for tax levies is just, this shall be presented to the electors, and the electors will vote, shall the levy continue, yes or no? Whatever the statutory language is. So I was just wondering if maybe we can get a one-and-done solution here, potentially.
I am not positive as to why, but I can tell you the previous 2 times that we've done this, it's been 2. One that says, yes, let's go to the ballot, and then the second one is to accept the language of it. So that's just how it's been done. Not that that means it's right, but that's how it's been done. Yeah. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to actually put this forward tonight. I mean, not tonight, next week. Is it next week? Yeah. Just because there are so many things that have to happen, and if we decide, if this council agrees to go ahead and put it on the ballot, a committee needs formed, work needs done, to move it forward. Next is request legislation authorizing the Director of Public Safety and Service of the City of Massillon to amend wage schedules for unclassified employees. This is the 3% increase across the board. So this is the one that is saying anybody that falls into these classifications would work into the 3%. And Julie, I mean, you made an excellent question about the 3% across the board. I'm just looking through here briefly, and on that last page, I see law director, see municipal court in there. So it would appear that it's going across all, but not a bad question to make sure it's going across all. So anyways, I digress. Does anybody else have any other questions? You do see a couple where, set by judge, so we might not be able to really make an impact there. But it looks like as far as the law department or the auditor or the treasurer's office, those ones would still fall into our scope, is what I'm guessing from the sheet. Sorry, I just wanted to double check that. That was a good question. All right, Diane, I'm going to ask that these next handful are one ordinance for Monday. You don't let me bundle often anymore. So these next. See, you're not even going to let me get away with it all. What's this last one? Oh, the health services one? Fine, whatever. You're the one that's got to say it all. I'm just trying to help you.
And type it all.
Yeah, see, I'm trying to help you. Anyways, all right, so the first one that she's going to let me bundle is please prepare an ordinance to reduce appropriations in the Dairy Queen TIF. We're reducing it by 17,000. This is that zeroing out that I had made reference to earlier tonight. Please prepare an ordinance to reduce appropriation in Aldi's TIF. It's going to be $2,000. I'm just going to kind of go through these quickly. Usually we don't have a lot of questions about these, but if you do have one, please just speak up so that I might not catch it because I'm not looking up. Please prepare an ordinance to reduce appropriations in the 7 Brew TIF. That is another $2,000.
I don't have that.
Well, you gave me this one. Please prepare an ordinance to reduce appropriations in the Starbucks TIF. Yes.
I do have a question.
Yep.
So each of these say there is no cash in the fund, so fund needs zeroed out. Can you explain why there's no cash in the fund? Thought that would be good for clarification.
Yeah, we put them in, I was thinking, the TIFs were all approved in '23. I thought some of the businesses were already in operation. I thought they would be paying taxes in '24 and we would get the real estate taxes in '25, but that did not happen. We didn't get anything for these 5 TIFs in '25. So since this was the first year, no cash has ever come in, so I have to reduce the appropriation because I have to recertify the revenue because we didn't get anything in. So we just have to zero them all out. I think after talking with Ted, there is a good chance it's next year that is when it's all going to come in.
Is that normal that we don't get cash the first year?
I think we looked back and it almost afterwards, and it did take from like when we passed the TIF, it was almost 3 years then until we actually saw the money.
Mr. Hernkane approaches.
Yes.
No, that is very common, but when council passes a TIF, when you go through the whole construction process, which often overlaps over a calendar year, and then the monies go into the TIF fund the year after they hit the tax roll, so there's always a lag of a couple years, and she's absolutely correct. I would assume those will hit the tax rolls this year so when they go to pay their taxes in '26 for, let's say, the first half of '25, I'm sure they'll be on there.
Okay, so this is a normal timing issue?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
And to take that one step farther for you, Mr. Gregg, in case anybody else wonders, again, when we're reducing an appropriation. We're not reducing like actual cash. So this is what we appropriated. We're not going to spend that much money because there's no money in there to be spent, so we have to reduce that appropriation. So it's, again, a little bit of a caveat. The next one is to reduce the Panda Express TIF by $2,000. And then the one I'm not allowed to bundle because Diane said no, is to reduce the appropriations in the community health services. 55,000 out of salary, 25,000 out of hospital, 5,000 out of PERS, 1,000 out of Medicare, 2,000 out of workers' comp, $50,000 in grant expenses for a total of $138,000. Expenses will not be incurred in 2025 in the above accounts due to staffing changes. Reduced appropriations are needed so the fund doesn't go into the negative when revenue certification is reduced. Any questions? And then please prepare a resolution requesting the Stark County Auditor and Stark County Treasurer advance payment of real estate taxes collected over the city of Massillon for the 2026 fiscal year. So we do this every year. It's basically saying, hey, don't make us wait until you collect the money. Can you give us the money early? Another one, please prepare a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor. Again, this is something else we do every year. It's just accepting the millage and the rates that these property taxes are and how they shall be distributed. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Okay. Now we got a bundle of transfers to go through. Street Department wants to reduce the PRS by $1,700, put it in the hospital, eye, and dental. This is to realign 2025 budget to pay expenses through the year end. Again, please just speak up if you want to ask a question. I'm not looking back up every time. Muni Court reduced judge salary by $5,000, service contracts by $10,000, putting the hospital, eye, and dental, realign the budget. In the Parks and Rec, reducing Park and Rec for the salary by $15, putting in the hospital. Good job to that budget person, got it within $15. That's a good job. I don't know if that's you or not, Lori, but someone gets a kudos. I do think the best Lori's done is like $1, though. I think that was like last year. We had to adjust something, a whole dollar. Anyways, Safety Service Department reducing servicing contracts by $385, putting it into the clerk's position, realigned to get the payroll balanced. For those of you new on council, this is pretty common to have this many at the end of the year. There's little minor corrections. It's how we score our budget director to see how good she was. In engineering, we're gonna adjust the supplies, materials, and postage by $2,090, travel, school, and seminar by $2,000, SR 21 maintenance rehab by $8,200, sidewalk replacement program by the $42,135. And put it into storm roadway repairs to realign the budget. With that said, I'm assuming that we have projects we're going to be getting done by the end of the year that'll use this right up. That's correct. Awesome. I'm getting the confirmation from the engineer. Yeah. The next one. The auditor's office, city state collection fees reduced by $5,700, state audit reduced by $3,300, transfer advance out reduced by $8,000. Street lighting services increase for the $17,000, and this is to pay our street lighting fees. Just so you know, we basically pay the electric for all the street lights in the city. Administration reducing the salary and street by $36.50 and putting it into the school district revenue sharing. And Parks and Rec reducing utilities by $6,500 and the general utilities by $6,500 and putting it into the utilities for the recreation center. With that said, I'm pretty much done with the pieces that I have in front of me for finance. I do have a couple more comments I want to make tonight, though. One, tomorrow being Veterans Day, just want to thank all of our veterans in our community for their service and all the sacrifices they have made and continue to make every day for us. Second, congratulations to the winners last Tuesday. As many of you know, it will be mine and Jill's last 6 meetings coming up. I've been on council for 14 years now. You're about 12 or 10. Jill's been 10. So it was weird to go through the exercise of an election Tuesday and not have to have my name on it or anything. I'm very excited to see Mr. Patterson come on board. I think he'll do a fantastic job in our city. But I will say I am sad because I don't know if you guys have realized this yet, and we can let somebody in the press do a little bit of research, but I think it will be the most historic council this city has ever had, because in all the years I've lived in this city or paid attention to anything in the city, I've never seen such a diverse body. The diversity of next year's council is going to be unprecedented in the history, I think, of this city. And I'm just upset that I did 14 years and never got to sit here and have the experience to be part of that. So for those of you who are still here in January, congratulations. I hope you embrace it and celebrate that movement and that progress for our community. So with that, that's all we have for Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. All that is well said, and we'll be missing you and Mrs. Creamer as well. You've both had tremendous contributions to the council and to the city. It's your own fault you're not going to be back. So, but I will be calling you for sure.
Right, don't change the number, bro.
Mrs. Cunningham?
I also want to say, I was back on council with Jill and with Ed, and I enjoyed them so much. I really do, and I'm going to miss you guys. I really will. I also wanted to mention, and also congratulations to our new folks. I am excited about that as well. But I also wanted to mention that this is the anniversary of the Edmund Fitzgerald, where they lost 29 men that night, which we should probably give a prayer to them, those poor souls as well. But again, I also want to thank all the Marines, because today is the anniversary of the Marine Corps, and my brother served as a Marine, so, and I already sent him a message. Way to go, little brother. Thanks for your help. All right, that's all. Thank you.
All right, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.